Welcome to another video. In this episode, we're going to be dealing with a question from the comment board. This is from this past Friday evening's camp. The question on the comment board. So all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And this will be entitled, Are the Palestinians Descendants of the Pharisees? Are the Palestinians descendants of the Pharisees? All right, just getting straight to the point. This question is from a brother named Lou Hawk 559 right here. Lou Hawk 559. He asked the question, are the Palestinians descendants of the Pharisees? Right? Not sure how to spell it. So when I first saw it, I was looking, I was like, what? But then I realized he was asking about the Pharisees. So answering the question, are the Palestinians descendants of the Pharisees? To get right to my answer, I answered back. I said, no, the Pharisees is not a people group or a seed line. The Palestinians, for the most part, are Ishmaelites, which are Arabs. And the brother came back. Let's see here. Just bear with me here. In the next comment, he says, I was told by a friend whom is an Hebrew Israelite, so he calls himself, not sure what camp, that the Palestinians are Pharisees and that today's fighting is a good thing. I told him that's absurd. And I said, yeah, don't ask him any more questions. He doesn't have the truth. He's a weirdo. And I mean, that is correct. How you get the Pharisees being the progenitors of the doggone, how do you get the Pharisees being the progenitors of the Palestinians, which they're not? All right, as far as we know, and Salakia here, as far as we know, and I don't even mean to say it like that, we know for a fact that the most of those Arab peoples, they go back to the Ishmael. All right, they go back to Ishmael, and we can read here. Before we do that, let's go. And first, you need to understand what is a Pharisee. That's the first thing you would do, right? So, looking up the word Pharisee, it says the Pharisees were and you're going to hear this word Jewish, which we don't subscribe to the word Jewish, because what does it mean? It means like a Jew. Either you're a Jew or you're not. That's it. Either you're from the tribe of Judah, which is a so-called Negro in reality, okay, or you're not. You're a Negro from the southern kingdom of Judah. You know, you could be from Benjamin or you could be from Levi as well. But either you're one or you're not. You can't be like that. So that's a made up word, really. The Pharisees were a Jewish religious political party in New Testament times. See, that's the thing. They were New Testament times. You got to go back to the beginning. That's when the progenitors came on the scene. You see, you had people on the scene. All the nations was already in the earth by the time the Pharisees came on the scene. That's way later. But anyway, it says they were the largest and most influential religious political party in New Testament times. The name Pharisee means separated one. They held seats in the Jewish, again, take that word with a grain of salt, ruling council called the Sanhedrin. The Pharisees were teachers and pastors, what the Jewish people today call rabbis. They are consistently depicted in the Gospels as antagonists or opponents of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach and the early Christians. Okay, so they was coming against the Lord a lot, right? You can just always do a word search on these different various words. It says, who were the Pharisees? Pharisees were a Jewish group that interpreted the law strictly and taught oral traditions, which in reality, the Pharisees were Israelites. Oftentimes you hear these low-level different Israelites and different groups that call us, you niggas the Pharisees, you Pharisees. Pharisees is not necessarily a wicked word. All the Pharisees wasn't even evil. Apostle Paul was a Pharisee. You had other men that were highly esteemed by the Lord or that were beloved of the Lord that were Pharisees. So it just depends on who you're talking about. Also, I went and did a word search. Let's find it in the scriptures. Now, this is at the preaching of John the Baptist. This is Matthew 3:1. It says, in those days came John the Baptist preaching in the wilderness of Judea and saying, repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For this is he that was spoken by the prophet Isaiah, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. And the same John had his raiment of camel's hair, and a leathern girdle about his loins, and his meat was locusts and wild honey. So this is John the Baptist out in the wilderness preaching, right? And then that's a good tidbit for all you niggas that keep hollering about, you niggas teaching in the woods, you niggas ain't going around the people, fuck the people. The word of truth went out already. We ain't gonna be around the people forever. Okay? You have to be spiritual enough to understand and know that man's goings are of the Lord, for number one. Wherever we go and preach, that's what the Lord wants us to go and preach. You close your nigga mouth. Verse 5 says, Then went out to him Jerusalem and all Judea and all the region about Jordan, and were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins. And you're also going to have a certain number of Israelites. I'm going to get baptized, brother. You baptize me, brother. Can't be. Look, man, the real baptism is being washed by the word. John 15, verse 3. Let's go there real quick. You don't have to get fucking baptized like you in the Baptist church. Now, at the end of the day, if you want to get yourself dipped in water, okay, that's on you. But you're wasting time. John 15 and 3. Now ye are clean through the word. What? You sure? Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. That's how you get baptized. That's a true baptism. But I know that a lot of jakes, a lot of you Israelites, you stuck on outwardly shit. You need to do something, go somewhere. You feel like you really ain't in the truth unless your ass got to go to Mount Kilimanjaro, go to the very top, scrape some ice off the top, come back and melt it down and turn it into water, and then drink the water. Now you think, you know, it's a goddamn episode of Golden Child. Anyway, Salakia. So let's read here again. Matthew 3 and 5. Then went out to him Jerusalem and all Judea and all the region about Jordan, and were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins. That was for a time. That happened, sure. Verse 7. But when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who have warned you to flee from the wrath to come. Bring therefore fruits meet for repentance. Okay, so he saw them and he got on them right away because he knew that their ass wasn't right. Now this right here, if you look up the word Pharisees right here, what's the pronunciation? We'll get the pronunciation to it.
Strong's G 5330. Pharisaios. Pharisaios.
Pharisaios in the Greek. Now this is an app, the blue letter, which was introduced to us by Elder Apostle Tahar and the other apostles of GMS. Okay, so you can use this app that you see us use. Don't be proud. It's got a lot of good information in it, and you can see the words broken down in Greek, Hebrew. You know, learn a lot from it. So you can use that. So the definition here for Pharisees, it says a sect that seems to have started after the Jewish exile. Now, again, ain't no people in the Bible known as Jewish, period. You just got the Jews, and then you got the Israelites, and all together they're Israelites, the 12 tribes. That's all you got. Ain't no damn Jewish people in the Bible. Anyway, it goes on. In addition to Old Testament books, the Pharisees recognized in the oral tradition a standard of belief and life. They sought for distinction and praise by outward observance of external rites, just like today. Where your fringes at, brother? Where your fringes at, brother? Your fringes are, and your stupid ass got on a damn t-shirt. And the t-shirt, you can't find a t-shirt in the scriptures. Go in the scriptures and find that. They sought for distinction and praise by outward observance of external rites and by outward forms of piety, which baptism, you people today, you want that. You need outward shows of piety. And that's so fire that's there. They sought for distinction and praise by outward observance of external rites and by outward forms of piety, and such as ceremonial washings, right? What is that? Baptism, fastings, prayers, and almsgiving, and comparatively negligent of genuine piety, just like today. Niggas so caught up hollering about the law this, the law that, the law this, the law that, and you are left out the other things, judgment, mercy, and faith, as the scriptures talk about. Anyway, They prided themselves on their fancied good works. They held strenuously to a belief in the existence of good and evil angels and to the expectation of a Messiah. And they cherished the hope that the dead, after a preliminary existence either of reward or of penalty in Hades, that's another thing, will be recalled to life by him and be requited each according to his individual deeds. In opposition to the usurped dominion of the Herods and the rule of the Romans, they stoutly upheld the theocracy and their country's cause and possessed, great influence with the common people. According to Josephus, they numbered more than 6,000. They were bitter enemies of Yahushua and his cause, and were in turn severely rebuked by him for their avarice, ambition, hollow reliance on outward works, and affection of piety in order to gain popularity. Just like today. Jake is more caught up. That's where you get them stupid ass unity camps from. You're more worried about the nation and the way they view you than worried about what the Lord said to do. But anyway, so you got that. You understand that the Pharisees were a religious group, okay, not a people group, which they were Israelites themselves. Okay, they were Israelites. Now, the Ishmaelites or the Palestinians, they derived from a group known as the Ishmaelites, which was the brother. Ishmael was the brother of Isaac. Now, this is Romans 9:6, and it goes. You can go back through, to the old, to Genesis and whatnot. But I'm going to go right here. It says, not as though the word, Romans 9:6, not as though the word of the Most High had taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Right, you got the elect and you have the non-elect. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. Now, who came out of Abraham? You had Ishmael was the firstborn son, but then you had Isaac. Because of that, Ishmael being the firstborn son, even today, feel like they should get the inheritance, but it wasn't given to them. It was given to Isaac. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of the Most High. And the Ishmaelites are children of the flesh. But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. See, so the children of the promise is who? The Israelites. Salakia. All right, so this right here is in Galatians chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 21. It says, tell me, ye that desire to be under the law, do ye not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. The bondwoman was Hagar. If you go back to the story, Hagar was the maid of Sarah, or Sarai, Sarah. Right? She was the maid of hers. She was if you want to say a concubine of Abraham. Now it says, but he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. The bondwoman was Hagar, and who was born after her? That was Ishmael. But he of the free woman was by promise. Right. Let's see here. We go to Genesis. Let's look here real quick. Genesis 21:8. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which was born unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And the Most High said to Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of the bondwoman. And all that Sarah had said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. See that? And also, of the son of the bondwoman will I make a great nation, because he is thy seed. So the Palestinians do come out of Abraham, but they're not the chosen seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And then they actually got a blessing. So, that's how you get a lot of the oil wealth. You can go and read up on it yourself. But the blessings, they also had blessings. 12 princes, as it was said. I should have went ahead and read more of it. Maybe we actually go over there. Let's jump up here. Genesis 21. Well, really, that goes into Isaac being born. Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna read it. Yeah, I'm not gonna read it. I'll just read real quick here. When Hagar and Ishmael was, down and out because they ran out of water. It says, and the water, verse 15, was spinning the bottle, and she cast a child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And the Most High heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of the Most High called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for the Most High hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. And the Most High opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad a drink. And the Most High was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. All right. So you can, do all your tracking and all the stuff that you do. 12 princes. Let's see here. Just bear with me here. Yeah, this is in Genesis 17, right? Verse 19, and the Most High says, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard, behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. See that? But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this time. Salakia, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this time in the next year. All right. So anyway, going all the way back to Galatians 4. So you can read a little bit about Ishmael, the 12 princes that came from him. I mean, we can't exactly track like everyone and just know exactly, but the Arab nation, the Arab peoples come forth from Ishmael, which is part of the reason why they think that they have a right to the land over there, which is, really why they fight. They believe that being a brother to Isaac, right, that they have a right to that land, which they don't. Okay, but they are sons of Abraham, but they're not the chosen son. It just so happens that the people that they're fighting against are imposters. They're not the real people of the Lord. They're not even Isaac, but they don't know that. I mean, I think they do know in the spirit. However, at the same time, that's some cosmetic shit for the world to see. Anyway, going back to Galatians 4 and 22, it says, for it is written that Abraham had 2 sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. But he of the free woman was by promise, which things are an allegory, for these are the 2 covenants, the one from the Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Agar, which is Hagar. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia. The Arab peoples come out of that, right? And they came through Hagar, but their father was who? Abraham. Okay, and after that, Ishmael. So they're called the Ishmaelites. They ain't called the Hagarites. They called the Ishmaelites. And answereth to Jerusalem, which really, let me go back and change what I said, because Abraham is the father of Ishmael, but Ishmael brought forth the Ishmaelites. Right? Today you call them Arabs. For this Hagar or Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice thou barren that bearest not, which was who? Who was the barren that did not bear? At the time it was Sarah, but the Most High made her have a son. Break forth and cry, thou that travailest not, for the desolate hath many more children than she which hath an husband. Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of the promise. But as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what saith the scripture? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. Right, the Israelites are the children of the promise. Now, going back to the question, when you read and you know all of that, you understand that the Palestinians are descendants of the Ishmaelites, okay? And that the Pharisees are descendants of the house of Israel. So there's no way possible the Palestinians could be descendants of the Palestinians could not be descendants of the Pharisees, because the Pharisees is not a people group, but it is a religious group, all right, that are Israelites themselves. Now, when you read Ezekiel 35 and 6, when you read Ezekiel 36 and 5, this is what it says. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which Idumea is the Edomites. It says, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, excuse me, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Now here you got a residue of heathen. Surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen. Right? You got heathens over there in the Holy Land fighting too. The Palestinians are some of them, but you have others. When I said fighting, I really was talking about the Palestinians and the Edomites that are currently there now, which is them so-called Jewish people. But you have other heathens there too that are not fighting. I was just mentioning, you got other Arabs and other different people over there too, around there in the land of Palestine, which don't belong there. Okay, it says, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for prey. All right, so the Edomites are the ones that are in possession of the land, and the Palestinians, which are heathens, Ishmaelites, they're also fighting over that land, which they believe they have a right to, because they are descendants of Abraham, right? But through Ishmael, they're descendants of Abraham through Ishmael, but they don't have any right to that land. Okay, the Lord gave them their inheritance. They got other lands over there that belong unto them. Anyway, there's another scripture that I will read, but you have to realize too that, like I remember hearing the Israelite group said that the Palestinians are the ancient Philistines. No, they're not. Philistines were Hamites. Okay, but you got to remember, during that the Arab slave trade, you had the Ishmaelites that was rounding up Israelites, and then they also had a hand in our captivity to the Edomites and to the Hamites. So you got a lot of mixture going on or whatever. Now, some of these names, like when you read Amos 1 verse 6, it says, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they carried away captive the whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom. But I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof. Now, I'm not sure if this Gaza is speaking of them Ishmaelites, or if it's talking about Hamites, because it goes on, and these people are Hamites. It says, and I will cut off the inhabitant from Ashdod, and him that holdeth the scepter from Ashkelon, and I will turn mine hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, saith the Lord power. Now, currently, you don't have the ancient Philistines over there in that land. They went down to the land of Ham or whatever. So, this really goes back to the ancient ones, not the people that are there currently. That's why I say I'm not sure if this Gaza is speaking of those ancient Hamites, or if it's talking about, the people that came after that, which would be Ishmaelites. But in any event, it's going to be judgment on all of them. It's going to be judgment on all of them. All right. So anyway, just to answer the question again, which was answered on the comment board, no, the Pharisees is not a people group or a seed line. You can't say, You got the Israelites, then over here you got the Pharisees. They're another group of people. No, they're just a religious group. That's just like saying, you know, the Baptists or the Mormons or the Catholics or the whatever. You know, they were just zealous Israelites over the law. And you heard the definition that we read. So that's it for the question. I'm not going to extend the video. So Lord willing, you got some edification from it. You learned something. And we'll see you again soon with another lesson, Lord willing. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.